everybody could, if pressured enough, become and have a psychotic episode like this. And there are others who feel that only those who have a tendency to easy disorganization of the brain by their metabolism, that only they can get the psychotic trips. Because certainly when we analyze the underlying strife or conflicts that go on in a schizophrenic when they have recovered enough, that we find not too different a set of circumstances than what we find in the neurotic.
Parents strongly caution the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
To save the patient from what would otherwise be a severe neurotic The patient that you saw me walking with demonstrates on the 8th day after admission the continuing presence of a catatonic panic.
All right. Happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday night? Yes, it's Wednesday night.
Sure is.
It's still Wednesday. Fucking goddamn day of the week it was.
All blurs together.
So we're here with Sermon of Flies tonight. And it's going to be one hell of a show. So obviously, the first thing that we're going to get into, give us the backstory on who is Sermon of Flies about and when do you guys get started?
So the backstory. This is the fun part. The backstory is it started with the project started as just like an art project with me and two other people. There's a group of friends, but the origin of the story is you'll if you look back through our videos, you'll see especially in the songs and stuff, you'll see us mentioning a person named Lana, and that is a personal friend of ours who passed away in 2008 by suicide. And this is the hard part I was telling you guys to get into. So that's where the origin of the Sermon of Flies comes from. That long story short, she lost a child and she went downward spiral into depression and took her own life in 2008, and none of us really knew why, and we never understood it. So that's where the name Sermon of Flies comes from. The flies are the stories that swirl around when somebody when a personal close friend dies. There's like the stories about what happened. It's always different. It was like that's like the flies swirling around. It's the constant buzzing, and what you're left with at the end, when all the noise is quiet, you're left with the truth, and that's the sermon. So that's where the name Sermon of Flies comes from. When we started making the music, it was a way for me and Angie, who actually took her name as she used her Lana as her muse. So an artistic muse is somebody or something you use as inspiration. So she used her name in the music for her inspiration, and the lyrics you hear in the songs are Lana's writings that she put into into music. So that's the sermons you hear. So it started as a way for us to process grief, and Angie was like especially bad with it because that was her cousin. So it's like really it's something very, very personal for us both. So that's like the origin Sermon of Flies.
Okay. I like that.
Fantastic. All right, Meg, you're up.
Okay. Well, what would you say are your musical influences for Sermon of the Flies?
We don't really have any because we wanted it to be unique.
Yeah.
We wanted a unique sound, so we just went with whatever felt natural to us. And that's why, like, if you listen to the music, it's very simplistic, just a lot of chord chugging, and we didn't want to sound like anybody. And like even now, like people come up to me, what genre of metal are you? Like, I don't even know. I just play it, And people are they're like labeling us like, oh no, you guys are like death metal, you're brutal death metal. No, you guys are slam death. It's like, oh, there's no way we're slam death. We're not slammy. But like, like, what's your tuning?
Well,
and they're trying to label us.
Let me ask instead, what made you decide to write metal rather than any other genre?
That is a very good question because, like I said, and if you guys go into our bio, there's a very special link in our bio. We'll get into that later. We did our research coming into this project. Like I said, this first, it all started as a project. And we did our research and we noticed our message it's against self-harm. And we noticed we wanted a genre because we all just love extreme metal. And coming into this, we researched what genre of metal had the highest self-harm rate. I came into it thinking it was like something like your like emo or something like that. You would just think of like a stereotype, right? It's actually not. It's actually death metal. They have the self-harm rate in death metal is 3 times higher than any other metal genre. And I think it's 2 times higher than emo. So that's what made us come and want to do this. Because we actually started as like the music we played when we were just messing around. It was just like industrial type death metal. Like a mix between like Ministry kind of sounding stuff and like that, and just like regular death metal. But then when we actually got the project going, we did the research and we picked like death metal because we looked at those rates and we were like, that's concerning. So we wanted to hit the fan base with that message.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough. All right, CB, you're up on deck, bro.
So what would you say are some of the worst of the worst that has ever come as a difficulty for you guys forming everything that you guys have wanted to get into your music?
The worst of the worst. That's a really good question. I never really thought about that. The worst of the worst. Just the frustration and like the worst of the worst is like just letting people too close to this project who we don't think belongs there. That's like, it's really hard to bring people close to this because of how personal this is to all of us. So I think I think that's like the worst of the worst that I could think of.
Okay.
That's fair enough. So we talked a little bit before the show, and we're going to go ahead and get into this subject because it is a hard-pressed subject for a lot of people. What is your take on the use of AI in today's?
Well, this is where I tell you guys that, like we talked about, we do use AI. A lot of people think we're pure AI because that's what those stupid detectors come out with. But I'll tell you one thing about those detectors that's very ironic. They're using AI to find AI. That's quite ironic. But you could feed those detectors a turd and it'll tell you it's a fucking Tootsie Roll. But anyway, so we're hybrid. We're hybrid AI. I never hid that. Nobody really asked, so I never really talked about it. We're hybrid AI, 50-50. Drums AI, guitar and bass, real. Vocals, we scream into a vocoder and we just shape the sound that we want. Like we talked about, we want it to sound, we want to remove the humanity from the voice. We don't want it to sound human. And that ties into the facelessness of the band. So that, we also did the research on this. So it's a psychological effect it has on listeners. So we'd want them to pay attention to what's being said and not what's being played. So we want them to listen. We want them to listen to the message coming from the vocals, and then their brain is going to fill in the blanks. It's going to put their face as the face of the band. So this way they can actually feel what they're listening to, like it's coming from themselves. That's why I thought, because I knew nobody would like the AI thing. I knew they wouldn't. Like we talked about that. I thought, I knew people would have a problem with it. She didn't think people would have a problem with it. Caused a rift, blah, 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 blah. But the most important thing about it is we want people to pay attention to the message. And even after the AI blow up with us, people were actually, and this actually we found quite offensive, because there was a couple of live streams on TikTok we went into, and they were like, I don't want to say teasing. It was more like mocking the idea that we had a message because we used AI, which I found offensive. And but like the use of AI, it's like we talked about. If you're going to sit here and just make like 500 songs just to flood platforms to make money, that is like a lot of people tell me that is stealing from artists that are actually trying to do something out here. And the way that I made up for that, you can look on our Spotify. There's, I think, 12 or 13 tracks. That's it. The rest we put out on TikTok, and it's little pieces with little parts of the message. We're not trying to take anything from anybody. And then another thing I did is there's going to be a couple of bands I throw out here tonight, which are really good bands, and you guys should definitely check them out. I would drag these bands around behind me to lives. Like when we were starting to gain traction on TikTok, I was like, come on, you guys are coming in this live with me. I want to show them your music, because that's the way that I was making up for what we were doing with the AI. I wanted to throw out other smaller artists. I wanted to use the traction we were gaining to help anybody else, because that's what the underground's about.
Right.
But the biggest problem I see with AI, understanding computer codes like I do, understanding how AI works, within 9 months, and I do not mean this jokingly, this is within 9 months, it's going to be legally indistinguishable from human-made music if you were to take it to court. The band would actually have to get in the courtroom and play it to prove that it was real. The vocals for AI is already there. They're already there. I've heard some AI vocals from some of these AI platforms, and they are perfectly mimicking human nuances like breathing and pops and lisps. And it's like reaching uncanny valley kind of levels, like it's freakishly accurate. And that's what scares me. Because it's going to, they already are. Like, I want to say, I actually looked into it. I think about 60% of the music you're finding on like platforms like Spotify is pure AI. That's where it's at right now. And that's only going to get worse. And that's why I think it's very important for the underground. And that's why it didn't really bother me that much when we got called out on the AI, because the underground, they strive on authenticity and being original. And they have to be, because the like the above ground and like mainstream, they don't give a shit. They're up there. They're up there. All they're about is money up there. That's all they're about. Those big labels, they don't give a shit. But down in the underground, it's all about authenticity and like, it's like a family down there. And that's why I was like, all right, you know what? You call this out. Cool. All right, just back off. They still attack us sometimes, but it's okay. But yeah, that's where I stand on AI. It's unfortunately, it's going to take over the platforms. And that's what sucks.
Right. I got you. All right, CB, you're up.
So everybody's always real picky about their own stuff and their own creations. What is something that you're most picky about when doing your own stuff?
Getting it to sound right. I'm very, 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 very picky with playing guitar, and like even like if I'm playing along with a song, I like if I'm playing along with Slayer or something, because I loved growing up playing Slayer on guitar. If I didn't get it right, if it wasn't absolutely perfect, like pitch perfect, I would just keep starting over, start over. That's something I'm like really picky about. I want the guitar to sound crisp and clean and like perfect. And I want like,
Right.
like when Angie plays bass, we would sit around, when we would sit around just playing, it's like, no, you're playing it wrong. She'd get mad at me. Like, the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, you're playing it wrong. What the fuck you mean I'm playing it wrong? It doesn't sound right.
Right.
So yeah, that's something I'm very picky about.
Okay.
Good. It's good to be picky about your quality of performance.
I mean, it really is. It really is. So on that, do you guys, I know that you use the AI on some of the stuff. Do you guys ever plan on making this a live act, or is this going to be an internet strictly only band?
No, we didn't even intend for it to go this far. Like I said, it was just supposed to be a project, and then we were supposed to slowly. It was supposed to slowly wean away from the music, and then we were going to start using Angie's artwork, because she's an artist. She's got her bachelor's degree in art history. I can't remember what college she went to. City University of New York. So she loves art, and we were going to transition into like grief art. We were going to use music on top of moving artwork to move the message, but people were getting so connected to the message from the music. At least that's the way I took it. That we just kept going. We just kept going when the music kept pushing it out. Like I would get like normal DMs, and Angie would be on the account. We would switch like every couple of days or whatever. And we would get DMs like, hey, love the music, the typical DMs. But then the more traction we started getting, the more we noticed the tone in the DMs we were getting on TikTok was changing. We noticed that the message we were trying to get out was landing with certain people. And they're like, I was starting to get messages like, hey, this happened to me today, and I was listening to music, and it really helped me figure a problem I was having out. And I was like, well, that you answer them, it's like, you don't really know how to answer that kind of thing, because it's not your cookie cutter DM you get. And then I noticed it got to a point where my girlfriend could tell you this, because she was actually involved in this conversation. I was just sitting on Sermon Fly's account. I was literally just talking to her. And she wanted me to go on that account because she's like, hey, can you just come back to this account? Because this is where we met, and it's kind of like nostalgic to me. And yeah, we were going back, and we were going to the lives that we met in and stuff like that. Kind of like that mushy gushy romantic stuff. She's going to kill me for telling you that because she's listening. But by the way, I love you, Monica. I love you to death, sweetheart. I got a DM from somebody who had just started following us. And he had sent a couple of his own videos that he made. And I would just like give him like the thumbs up or the horns hand, And he sent me a video of him crying and saying that he didn't think he could do it. Like he didn't think he could live anymore and stuff like that. But he had posted it on his TikTok, and then he had DM'd it to me. Now, posting it to your TikTok is one thing, but when you're sending it to me in a DM, that means you want somebody on this account to see that. So I clicked on it and I went and watched it. This guy's pouring out like his entire heart onto a TikTok video. And you could tell he was severely, severely depressed. And I told my girlfriend what his name was. She's like, wow, that's a friend of mine. I was like, well, he sent me this video And I sent her the video, and I was like, let me go talk to him. And I went and talked to him. You know, I was just telling him, I was like, all right, it's all right, brother. You know, he was close to the end. Like, I don't want to get too much in deep details because I don't want him to figure out, oh, he's talking about me. And I don't, you know, but it's those type of DMs that we were getting where people were actually looking for help. And that is the core of Sermon of Flies. See, I'm getting choked up because the flies are also, they're not just a metaphor in the music. They're also they're a literal metaphor. The flies are our fans, and we want Sermon of Flies is the hive, right? We want those fans to feel like they have somewhere to go, someplace safe. We want people to listen to music and say, I feel safe here. Like, I have a voice here. I can talk to these people. They're not an artist who's just going to ignore me, because a lot of these people, especially these kids, they're like, oh, I love this artist. These guys are like, I've had people like fangirl over us. I'm like, I'm just a dude from New York who works in a kitchen. You don't need to fangirl over me or fanboy over me, you know? Yeah. And it just seeing that kind of outpouring, I was like, this is what we did this for. I was like, I cannot stop doing this. I've got to keep doing this. So, and to elaborate more on your question about, like, if we wanted to turn it into more of a performance act, we actually were considering that. And like, that's why I was telling you, I ran across a bassist today that literally lives in the same building. I never knew it. Been here 3 months. Didn't even know there's a bassist living right next to me. Walk by the guy every day. He's like, yeah. And he said to me today, I was like, hey man, you want to check this out? And I showed him something new we were writing, just like a short snippet of a song we were writing. And he's like, yo, that sounds dope as shit. I was like, well, would you be interested in playing bass for us? And he's like, hell yeah, dude. He's like, I just got to get my instruments down here. I was like, that's the same problem I got. I was like, I got to get my stuff from my other place that I was living in New York before I moved to Pennsylvania and stuff like that. And I was like, the biggest problem is we're going to have to find a drummer. I was like, but and when I was talking to him, I was like, if this becomes a performance act, I do not want anything being taken away from the message, because that is the core Sermon of Flies. And if we became a touring band, if there was at any point where I thought that anybody was drifting away from the core message of this, I would shut the entire fucking thing down and go right back to TikTok. Like, that's how important the personal side of this is to me.
Right. So if you guys were to turn it into a live act, I'm assuming that you would wear some type of masks to remain, completely unseen.
Yes, and that would go back to like the original mystique of the band. Like, there's a whole backstory. Like, I built lore behind this. There's the father of flies. It's a hooded figure. You can't see his face. Like it, and then there's Eliora, who's one that was chosen by the father of flies to call out like what causes people pain, like corruption and stuff like that in the world, like, and what caused people to grieve. And she would go out, and she was the one that led the swarm to feast of blood. I got to go really deep into this. So the other metaphorical reason for Sermon of Flies is the father of flies creates the sermons, and the sermons are the music. Eliora is the messenger. And when we talk about, you'll hear like references to rot in the music. The rot is the song. It's the corruption that it's the message we're trying to get across to people. Whatever the song's about, that's the rot. So the I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by the messages that are popping up. But so the songs are the rot, and then we drop the rot, like that. When you drop a track for people to listen to, we're dropping the carcass for the flies to feast on. So we're dropping the track for the fans to listen to. It's a way that we tried to draw the fans in like their own little world, kind of like Ghost does. And I had a joke once when somebody asked me the same question. I was like, if you guys were like a live performing act, how would you do it on stage? I was like, I would figure something out to make Ghost look like a Sunday school picnic.
I could get behind that because Ghost is one of my top 5 favorite bands ever. I fucking love Ghost. I've probably seen Ghost. Oh, I would probably say around 20 times. So
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been.
But
to,
I love bands that do that. Like when Slipknot first came back, I think that was what made Slipknot big. Was like they all wore the mask. Like besides the music, was just kick fucking ass. But the whole mask thing was like just added to like the mystique of the band, and that's something I wanted to do because that does draw people in. And when you draw people in, they're actually going to listen to the message you're trying to say to get out instead of just saying, "Oh, this music's cool."
There's something about theatrics in a band. And it doesn't matter if it's metal or hard rock or whatever. I've always, my whole life, I've been drawn to like super theatrical bands. Like Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson are 2 of my like biggest idols ever that I always looked up to in going into music. And I feel like it doesn't really get the appreciation that it should. Because
Yeah, it doesn't.
We're supposed to go up there and be entertainers. Yes, you're a musician, but you're also an entertainer. Like, people want to see a show. However that show may be, they want to see a show. I can go see any cover band and watch them stand up there and play music. But to go see a band that puts on an entire show, whether that's lights, pyro, costumes, backdrops, whatever it may be, I want to see
alone.
a show. And
nobody does the theatrics better than Gwar.
Oh yeah.
I can't argue with that. They definitely. Me and Meg got the chance to see Gwar last May, and it was absolutely insanity. Absolutely insanity, and it's just they've got it down. Of course, they've been doing it since what, the early '80s ish,
and they keep it relevant too, which is wonderful.
Yeah, them and
why they lasted so long.
Cooper's been doing the theatrical thing since the '70s. So it all goes into play, which I think is awesome, and keeping that secret of who you are is I think that's also kind of what drives people, because they're like, oh my god, it's amazing, we don't know who it is, but then you get the internet sleuths that go trying to figure out who the fuck you are.
Well, there's a couple of people who have figured out who I was, and that's cool. They're on my personal profile, and the only thing I ask from them is like, if you're going to follow me and be friends with me on my personal profile, I don't want anything about music being talked about. And even if you were to go to my personal profile, there's absolutely nothing music. It just looks like an average BS TikTok page.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Meg, you're up.
Okay. So if you had unlimited studio time, unlimited budget, what would you want to try with this project?
Everything I could think of, to be honest with you. Everything.
And go on a big experimental binge.
Yes. I would love that. And I would just I would probably sleep in the place. I would probably sleep in there. I mean, that's how much I just love playing guitar, and like I haven't been able to do it for a couple months because like I went to the hospital a couple months ago. I forgot to say this part. I had really severe shoulder pain in my right shoulder. And it turns out that it was inflamed, and it was becoming arthritic. And the doctor said, one of the things the doctor said to me, he goes, "You're either into sports or you play guitar." I was like, I skateboarded. And he's like, "No, that ain't going to do it." I was like, "I play guitar." He's like, "That's what did it." I guess it's like the constant, like the way you move your arm and stuff, move your shoulder and stuff like that. And it wore at my shoulder. He's like, I was like, "What's that mean?" He's like, "No more guitar for a while until you see a surgeon." I was like, "Well, I don't have my guitar, so I ain't really going to worry about it." So, but even now, I would still do it, even though it would hurt like hell. I would still do it. But yeah, to elaborate more on that, I would go on an experimental binge because I would just love it. I would just love it. I was like, oh, I have everything in front of me that I didn't have in BandLab right in front of me because I'm restricted to what I can do in BandLab because that's where we make the music.
Right.
And it's frustrating what I have to do to cut corners to get this shit out there and do it. You know, if I could find a drummer, I would drag him into the studio by his teeth. Like, I don't give a shit if you want to do this or not. You're coming with me, you know?
That was going to be one of my questions was like, because of the unlimited budget, would you hire people to come try to work on the project with you, or would you still rely on the AI, almost randomization of it?
I would much rather have somebody putting artistic input into it rather than me just saying, hey, give me a drum line, AI. Give me 4, you know. It's just to me it's frustrating, and that's why I can understand. That's why I don't really get mad at people that hate AI. I'm like, yeah, it's frustrating because it's like there's even though there's artistic intent with the guitar and the bass and almost with the vocals. Like the only reason I would do that is, like I said, I wanted to form it to a specific sound. But I was actually thinking about getting vocal lessons from a vocal teacher in UK. She was going to charge me for it, which is why I haven't done it yet. She was going to teach me how to use my false vocals and get the gutturals and stuff that they want. And
vocal
my friends
lessons are worth it.
And my friends are like, dude, you have a very deep voice. You could sing death metal damn good. And I'm like, well, I would have to learn it again. But it gets frustrating. It does. Having to rely on that, it does get frustrating. And I don't want to have to do it forever. And I mean, if I would have to, I would end the project. Like if I couldn't find a drummer who would play it, I would end it before I would just continue using the AI because it's getting frustrating as hell. It is.
Right. Okay.
Fair enough. All right, CB, you're up, bro.
So as far as your fans go, what is your favorite fan interaction so far?
Oh, there's so many of those.
It could be
only
good
a
or
handful. Bad. Well, there was one bad. There was one bad, not naming the band, but he was the one that exposed the AI. I don't really like him very much. I'm not going to name, but the good ones. Oh, there's so many good ones because there's so many good people in these bands. Like, I never really had any real interaction outside of being a fan and meeting certain bands. Like when I was at a small show, especially here in Poughkeepsie, we have the Chance Theater. It's a very small venue. Lots of big names like Hatebreed blew up playing here. If you were to ask Hatebreed, they would tell you they love playing the Chance in Poughkeepsie. They were here all the friggin' time when they were local, all the time. I even remember seeing them in 96 or 97 when they still had their friends with the merch booth on the side of the Chance, and I'm over there buying a Hatebreed t-shirt. That's how long ago. But as for interactions, my latest is Atlas on Fire. Those guys, I've never had a male singer from a band hit on me, jokingly. And he would.
Okay.
And I was part of a group chat for a while, and they were in there, and they're they were pushing their own stuff. Souls Divided, a couple other artists, and the way that he pushes his stuff out there, like it's like, wow, dude, how are you guys not blowing up just by your advertising yourself? Like,
Yeah.
It's like brilliant. You definitely gotta check Atlas on Fire. Atlas on Fire out because just the way he talks, it's just. That's one of the ones that stands out as the funniest. And I don't know. Yeah, but that's the most recent. That's the best one I can think of is with Atlas on Fire. There's a bunch of other bands that I've talked to, but they're just like regular, hey, how you doing kind of conversations.
Right.
Fair enough. So, say you guys were to be able to go on tour. And money was no object, and the bands couldn't say no. What are 3 bands that you would like to go on tour with?
I guess this is where I get to give a couple of bands a shout out. One of them
It
would
is.
definitely be. One of them would definitely be this band that I found on TikTok, Perpetual Deceit. They're a small band from, I think they're from Canada. I'm pretty sure it's Canada because I can't share images on their DM. So, yeah, Perpetual Deceit. Guys, please don't kill me if I pronounce your name wrong. I've been trying to pronounce it for the past 3 months because I told them I'd give them a shout out. I think they're married, a husband and wife. They're out of Texas. Apostolic TX. They're a Christian band, but you would not know it by the music. You wouldn't know it, and the music is phenomenal. So there's two of them. Definitely Atlas on Fire. Those guys, even though they're like pop punk, like emo punk.
Yeah,
and death metal.
I've already got them on I already pulled them up fast.
Yeah, I would definitely take them with me. And Sweater Weather, you got to check out their song Sweater Weather. God, it's like your postcard like emo punk. It's great. Definitely those guys. If I had to pick those three, and then if I was going to pick anybody to go on tour with us, and you got to check his live out, Awareness and Oblivion. You got to check him out on TikTok. He's writing his own music. He does it all himself. Guitar, vocals. I think he has a bass. I know he plays drums because he has a couple of videos out there. But yeah, he's got his own live stream. Every weekend he goes live. I told him I was going to give him a shout out and tell his story. He's like, I told him, I was like, if you want, I could tell your story. He's like, dude, I don't care if you tell him. I'm an open book. And his name is Jeff. And what I respect him most about is he's a recovering addict, and he uses his platform to help other people, which I think is fucking awesome. And that's why I wanted to give him a shout out. So yeah, those are four people that I would definitely go on tour with. Definitely. Without a question. I would, even if they didn't want to go, I was like, it's like, even if they didn't want to go, I'd be like, come on, you guys are going, whether I got to kidnap you, we're going on tour. If I was a big,
I really like that you gave shout outs to lesser known bands, because usually when we have bands on here and we tell them that question, because that's a pretty common question on the show, it's a lot of times it's big bands, which I do still like to hear that, but I really dig it when they're like, we want to go on tour with our friends that are in like these local bands or these smaller independent DIY bands. And I'm just like, that's what it's about. Like, if you guys were to all build each other up and work together, like, you could actually make something of this if everybody would do that, but they just don't.
Yeah, exactly. But that goes back to what I was saying earlier about like me wanting to promote smaller artists as a way to make up for what we did with the AI. And it's not just that though. Even if we were fully human, I would still be doing the same thing for other artists, because that's just the person I am. I just love helping other people out, and especially with like Perpetual Deceit and Apostolic. You've got to check out their music. Perpetual Deceit has this one song where half the song is just the same all the way to the end, but it is just one of the coolest guitar riffs I've ever heard. And you think I remember the name of the song? Absolutely not. But I think they only had like one or two songs up on Spotify, but you definitely got to check them out.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, Meg, you're up.
All right. And so how long has Summer No Flies been a project?
2021.
Okay, nice. So you've had some time to work on it. Because I wanted to ask. Okay. I wanted to ask if you feel like your writing style has changed over these last few years, and like as you've gotten more familiar with working with AI.
Yes, it has, because it takes away. I don't really have to worry about drums, like doing it myself, like sitting in front of a drum pad or sitting behind a drum set and learning how to play drums. So, besides just knowing how to play guitar, and I've noticed that my playing style has shifted more towards, like, I got to say, like, it's slowed down, because I've been listening to a lot more slam death. Like I used to listen to like, I started getting into deathcore with like, my sons got me into it actually. So back in like 2013, I want to say 2012. But I didn't really start getting into slam death until recently in the past couple of years. So I've noticed my guitar style is picking up on that slowing down and kind of like slamming the tone, the tuning down. And so it's getting like a lot more crunchier. So it's more like, it's becoming more like a funeral doom kind of really slow, crunchy death metal sound. Like the slower it gets, like it's the more emotion it's pulling out of me. So I'm like, this is what I want to go with if I'm going to keep making music.
Okay. Do you feel like the inspirations or like the content of your songs are evolving as well, like your story's evolving?
Yes, because that brings us back to the origin. So Lana had a black notebook that she kept. I haven't seen it. Angie has seen it because Angie's her cousin. In that notebook is just it's one of those composition notebooks you got in high school with the black and white cover. It's one of those.
Yeah.
And it is page after page after page after page of poems she wrote. And some of the things that, like when Angie would read them to me, I'm like, wow, that is fucking great. Like very good poetry. And that's what we're turning into anything new we make. We've been experimenting that with like, we've been using like, we've been trying to design our own AI to sound like Lana. And we just don't have enough voice recordings of her to train any AI on. So we kind of don't really have anything. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to take her writings and we're going to start like translating her poems into songs. And towards the end of her notebook, Angie would tell you that that's when her depression started. She said, I can tell by her writings that she was just descending. It was like when they called depression a spiral. From, if you were to read it, it was a downward spiral under depression. And so she wants to take some of the later stuff that she was writing down and put it to like really slowed down, like death metal and almost like spoken word. And that's if you were to go to our TikTok, there's a couple of experimental songs we used AI for just to see what it would sound like with some of these lyrics. And it's going to be pretty fucking dark, which is what we want it. We want it to be very dark. We want to get that message across because we want people to, like, I just can't stress it enough how important this message is for us. We want somebody to listen to these words and understand, like, wow, that's how I fucking feel. That's how this person felt. And if they can do it, I can do it. That's the main message of this music. And that's why I don't even care about the AI.
Nice. Okay.
Very cool. All right, CB, you're up.
So, with your extensive knowledge in music, you've been playing for a while now, and with the start of your project with Sermon of Flies, what would be some advice that you would give to other people who are doing something similar or wanting to start into this?
Don't rush it. Don't rush. We rushed for a reason, and that was like because, like I said, Angie was doing pretty bad with the depression. I know when she screams, it's like a really good release for her. That's why we rushed it. Have a message. Have something. Have it be something very positive, very personal. If it helps you, it'll definitely help other people. But just don't rush it. Take your time. Get it right. And when you get it right and there's a lot of passion behind it, it's going to sound fucking phenomenal.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, other than music, what is your primary hobby?
Oh, there's a lot of shit. It used to be growing growing up, it was skateboarding. I skateboarded for 15 years. If I wasn't learning how to play guitar, I was out skateboarding with my friends, and it was about 15 years. I skated, and 3 of them we were trying to get sponsored. We were getting like eyeballs, but skateboarding kind of like music, where their skateboarders like a dime a dozen, so were bands.
Right.
But it never really happened. But I loved it. I loved skateboarding, and I always wanted to open my own skateboard company, and I think I just still might. I mean, but I've always just enjoyed like skateboarding, snowboarding in the winter until I fell and almost killed myself. Haven't done it since. Yeah, I had a stick sticking out of my head and everything. It was kind of gruesome. But
oh my god.
Yeah.
That would stop me from snowboarding too. Oh.
Yeah. I just love skateboarding. Just love listening to music. Oh, I love going camping. Love going fishing. Oh, you get me into these mountains, and I just don't want to come out. And that's when I left. When I left New York, I missed the mountains in southern New York. And everybody's like, oh, you're from New York. They think of New York City. No, I'm from the Hudson Valley, man.
Right.
We what we call people from New York City up here? We have a word for them. Cityots.
I love it.
They come up here, and I call Angie a cityot because she's from Brooklyn. She's like, "You call me a city one more time," and she has this thing about cutting. She has this thing about wanting to cut people's fingers off, and lately it's been wanting to beat up people and like crush their kneecaps. Like, she's very brutal. But
oh my god!
You need to stop hanging out with the mob.
For real.
But yeah, no, we call them cityots because they come up here and they don't know how to act. So, but yeah, I'm from, like, if you were to look up like the Mid Hudson Valley, that's where I'm from. I grew up in a small town. I grew up in Beacon, New York. I'm currently living in Poughkeepsie. I'm just a small town dude with a lot of time in his hands who loves mountains and fishing and music and skateboarding, and that's it. Just, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. All right, CB, you're up, bro.
So if you could take the music that you create and compare it to a movie, what movie would that be?
Holy crap. I would have to put it on one of my favorites, which is the Evil Dead movies.
Hell yeah.
All right.
That's nice.
I even played with some samples from the Evil Dead, the one that made the remake they made in 2012.
Yeah.
I was messing with some samples from that.
Okay.
Very cool.
All right.
I was actually in a band. Well, this has probably been 20 years ago. We used a lot of samples from the Evil Dead, and we actually did a song strictly based because like the band was like all horror movie genre related. So every song we did was based off of a horror film. So whatever song that we did, it had little clips inserted from the actual film itself. And we did the Evil Dead. And because it was like, I feel like I watched that before it ever got popular. Like, I got that when it was on VHS in the damn rental place when those still existed for 25 cents. And I rented Evil Dead and loved it ever since I was a fucking kid. I've loved that movie way before it gained popularity.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. But that reminded me of something that when we were talking about horror. We actually wanted to. We were actually experimenting with trying like a couple of songs, like making them like based off of Lovecraftian horror.
Oh,
like H.P. Lovecraft, because I love.
You fucked up. You're speaking.
yes.
Meg knows. Like Meg, we had this long conversation. Me and her went to Welcome to Rockville last year together. and we had this long ass conversation, and Lovecraftian horror is like my favorite. Like, I'm fucking obsessed with anything. If it's within the Lovecraft world, I want to watch it. And I will like pick that.
Okay, so you'll probably agree with me when I'll tell you that. Oh, I'm getting laggy here. Okay. You'll probably agree with me then when I tell you that the Evil Dead movies, while based on Lovecraftian horror, just doesn't get it right. Like, you can't properly make a movie based off of Lovecraftian horror because it's just so cosmic and out there.
There was 2 movies I found that really impressed me, which one was The Void, and I love The Void. It's one of my favorites, and a lot of people don't even know that movie exists, but if you ever get a chance, watch The Void if you haven't, because it is
I haven't.
Pure.
It's a good one.
It is like, I had CB watch it with me one night, and he was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "I'm telling you, man." And then me and
I'm
Meg
definitely watching it now.
Me and Meg watched one that had Nicolas Cage in it. Now, hear me out. I know
Color of Space.
It's a good one too.
Space was just fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal. Loved it.
My
Great
thing
movie.
with these movies,
both of them are free on Tubi.
my thing with these movies is it's almost like they don't have rules. They just film
Right.
what they want. And they
Right.
kind of like
Mhm.
end, like the genre of horror because of the fact that it like, you know, it attracts a certain group of people, and those people want more. And the more intense it gets, the more it attracts them.
Well, it's Lovecraftian. There is no rules for Lovecraftian
Yeah.
horror.
It's just Easter eggs.
It's a Yeah, and he, I know, and I didn't really know that he created that language in there, like on himself. Like, I was thinking about it one day, and I'm like, it took a team of linguists to build Valerian for Game of Thrones. It took a team of linguistics to do that. This man built an entire language by himself to tie his books together. Like, that the man was just an absolute genius, and that was one of the things that we were trying to do. We were trying to get the phonetics for that language he created. I can't remember the name of the language that Lovecraft created, but we were trying to get the phonetics right so we could speak it. But I can't do it, so I gave up.
I don't think anybody can, bro. Don't feel bad.
I'm like, how the hell do you pronounce this?
I've read all the Lovecraft books, and I know a lot of his stuff also stemmed off of like Aleister Crowley, and I was real deep into like reading all the works of like Aleister Crowley and growing up, and it's just so in depth and so intense. And you either, like, I found out you're either scared shitless of it or you fucking love it, and it just like pulls you in.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
there's no middle ground.
There's no in between.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, you're either terrified or you're just completely like enamored with it.
Yeah, and that's funny because you reminded me of a story because like I said, I love the Evil Dead movies, and I don't like remakes of movies. And then when like the year that they remade Evil Dead 2012, when they remade Evil Dead, what was it, 2?
Mm-hmm.
I was really iffy about it. I was like, this is a cult classic. I mean, you guys really taking a gamble here, and I liked it. It was actually really good, except for the end. I don't think you're going to kill Satan with a chainsaw, but I digress. But I was watching it with. I watched the movie with my ex-girlfriend and her kids, and it's Apostolic. Hey, what's up, guys? See, there's one of the bands I was telling you about right there. I hope I pronounced your name right. But anyway, they're probably coming in here to kill me because you pronounced it wrong. But like you were saying, there's no middle ground with those movies. I loved that movie. But my ex-girlfriend's daughter, who was I think 14 or 15 at the time, after the movie, I was like, "Did you like it?" Because I love like showing like horror movies that I love to my friends and family and stuff. And she looked at me and she goes, "Dude, I am going to sleep with about 4 crucifixes and a fucking Bible." I was like, "That's exactly what I wanted somebody would say."
Oh, dude, I remember whenever I got caught watching it because I was really young and I rented it. And of course, my family knew that I was a big horror movie fanatic and I was obsessed with like special effects and all this shit. So I'm sitting there watching it, and I can't remember what part my mom walked in there. She's like, "What kind of devil worshiping shit are you watching?" And like lost her mind. I mean, she had a nuclear meltdown watching that fucking movie, and she just freaked the fuck out.
That's the kind of reactions I love, though. That's the kind of reactions I love.
Well, that's what it's made for. It's made to get that reaction and get those feelings and emotions. And you know, it's you've talked about your music and it trying to play on that same thing, which is what makes it so intriguing. So on that, I'm gonna let Meg get the last question before we get into playing a song from y'all going out.
What are your Christmas plans? You gonna go see family? You gonna go to a big city? What's going on?
Just simple. My daughter is actually she actually called me the other day. She was actually Christmas shopping for me. I could tell that's what she was doing. She was asking me what shoe size I am. Thanks, sweetie, for giving it away. But no, she's like, I'm going to be there. She's like, I'm going to come up there. I'm going to pick you up at 10 a.m. We're going to go to her boyfriend's parents' house for Christmas dinner. And then that's it. Nothing big, nothing spectacular. That's how I am. Just laid back, small and easy.
That sounds like a wonderful time.
Yep. So on that, we're actually going to play you guys a visualizer for one of Sermon of Fly's songs. This is Ashen Avenue. Please make sure that you go check out Sermon of Flies on all their social media accounts. Follow them. Go chat with them. Share their shit. Do all the damn thing. You, sir, stay put because we'll talk to you after the show is over. But here's Ashen Avenue by Sermon of Flies.
You crumble, you are
it.